Welcome to the screencast about the relationship between fairy tales and Proto-Indo-European. The Brothers Grimm, two German professors known as story collectors, did the research into the relationship between similar words of different languages. Their research contributed to the study of how language develops. First, some more information about Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. They were born in Hanau, a rather small town in Germany, near the end of the 18th century. They lost three of their siblings whom died in infancy, and when their father, a lawyer and court official, died, the family was forced to move to town. Both brothers studied law at university, but after their mother passed away, they started working at a library to support their younger brothers and sister. The Grimms were passionate about German folklore. Therefore, their goal was to preserve Germany's oral tradition. They wanted to investigate how words change their sound over time, so they collected fairy and folk tales told to them by friends and guests. Both brothers had different qualities. Jacob, for example, was the more academic of the two. He did most of the research for folklore and the bulk of the work on the theories of language and grammar. Wilhelm was more interested in literature. He edited and revised the stories one by one to give them their classic narrative style. The first collection to be published is the one that contains 86 German fairy stories. The book is still known as Kinder- und Hausmärchen, translated as Tales of Children and the Home. Some famous stories like Cinderella, Snow White, and the Frog Prince take part of the collection. The first version of their tales wasn't really meant to be read by children. It had a long introduction, few or no illustrations, and the stories themselves were rather harsh, unlike the Walt Disney versions we know now. Despite a lack of financial rewards, they succeeded to collect and publish hundreds of German fairy tales and legends. Because of the great success of children's literature, the brothers selected 50 of their most popular tales. They made them appropriate for children by refining and softening them. The 50 stories were published in a book called Kleine Ausgabe, small edition, better known as the Grimm's Fairy Tales. After the great success of the first English translation of the Grimm's collection in 1823, this book was published. Their younger brother, Ludwig, illustrated it. The book was soon established as classic children's literature. Kleine Ausgabe was one of the books that was the most reprinted in Germany, and it has been translated into more than 160 languages. The collection of folk tales enabled them to investigate the different phonetic shifts in the German language. Grimm's Law is one of the earliest and one of the most important linguistic laws, largely formulated by Jacob Grimm. He researched the different vowel shifts in various European and Aryan languages. He all linked them to a common root, and he has given linguistics a sound basis. His work was included in the original grammar book, Deutsche Grammatik, published in 1819. In 1838, the brothers started a great project, the Deutsche Wörterbuch, also known as Der Grimm. We can compare this to the Oxford English Dictionary. The Grimms wanted to collect information about the history and usage of every German word. They overrated the work, and both brothers died when they had only written the words A to F. The book was completed by some academics by 1961. The dictionary has already been revised now. Now some more information about Proto-Indo-European. More than 6,000 languages are spoken around the world today. Most modern linguistics still doubt the fact that these languages could have been originated in one place. We now think that almost every language can be traced back to about 10 main language families, and the largest one is known as Proto-Indo-European. Grimm's law shows us how the consonants of different Indo-European languages relate to each other. You can take a look at the examples in the PowerPoint if you like. We now think this single language was spoken more than 5,000 years ago in the steppes in southern Russia. By migration, Proto-Indo-European split up in various dialects, and these dialects developed into separate languages. To avoid confusion, this isn't the first language to be spoken, it is the oldest language we have evidence of. By going back in time, we now believe that The King and the God is the oldest sample of literature in any Indo-European language. Well, we came to the end of this screencast, but I have one question I would like you to think of now. Do you think the world would be a better place if we would all speak one language? You should think twice about this question. As Zahra Bestema says, there is a beauty of languages. Every language has its own music and nature of people. Thank you for listening.